Tailwind CSS is by far my favorite way to style all my applications, and it's not even close. For each new project that I start, I make sure to follow these 3 steps for a really nice to work with Tailwind setup. Here they are. Okay, step number 1 to get your Tailwind setup straight is by far the easiest, and that is just installing an extension for VS Code. So what this extension does is it gives us Intellisense for Tailwind, like hovering over the classes to see the underlying CSS. We can get a preview of which classes we can actually apply. And if we applied a color, we will also get a little preview of the color. The only thing we need to do is install an extension, at least for VS Code. Not sure how that's done for Vim, NeoVim, and so on for other IDEs, but in VS Code, just the Tailwind CSS Intellisense. Super easy, install that, reload your IDE, and you'll have it out of the box. Arguably, way more important is how we handle something like merging conflicts. So merging conflicts occur when we pass multiple classes that mean the exact same thing unconditionally. So when they are applied at the same time. If they are not applied at the same time, so for example, only from medium devices and up, then these wouldn't be conflicting, right? This would be perfectly fine with media queries, but if they are applied unconditionally at the same time, we get something, a merging conflict. By the way, what I found really interesting in making this video, what I didn't even know before, and chances are you didn't either, the order of which you assign these class names does not actually matter. What that means in practice is it doesn't matter if you have a text blue 500 and then a text red 500 or the other way around. The styles in the end will be red. And this is the case because of the CSS file that is generated for you by Tailwind based on the classes that you use. In that file, the order is already predefined, so the order in which you define the class names doesn't actually matter. But Josh, we can just get rid of the conflicting styles because we're gonna see the yellow squiggly lines under them that make it really easy to spot. And you'd be right, but take a look at this example if they're passed into a child component as props. So for example, let's destructure the class name from the props, and a really neat TypeScript tip, by the way, we can say the child component props are going to be, let's define them right above this component, an interface, let's give it the same name, and now to accept all props that are possible for this h1 as if we were just passing some indirectly, we can simply extend this interface by the HTML attributes right here that are provided to us by React, and this takes a generic of whatever HTML element we want to get all the props from. So for example, the HTML heading element in our case, and an empty object because we have no custom stuff in here. You know, this is where your custom props would go, like a text as a string if you wanted to accept those, but we don't. And if we just appended the class name to this h1 element, the class name is gonna be, let's just say text-3xl plus the class name. In that case, there will be no yellow squiggly lines. So we have a text-3xl. If we were to pass in as a prop to the child component as a class name the text2xl, we would get a merging conflict, but no yellow squiggly lines anywhere inside, because this can't be evaluated by our plugin that does all the Intellisense for us. By far, my favorite solution for this is a custom function, and let's call it cn for class names, and this takes some inputs, inputs any amount of class names, and we're going to use 2 libraries to make this magic happen, to resolve merge conflicts forever. This is going to be of type class value, which is a class we can't get. There are no suggestions for this, and the reason is this comes from a package. Let's install it, and this package is called CLSX. We can install that along with tw.merge, tailwind merge, and that's going to handle all the merging conflicts for us under the hood automatically. So now we actually do get this class value we can import and define our function right here. And the only thing we're going to do in this function is return the tw merge we get from the other library, tailwind merge. That's going to resolve the merging conflicts for us. And then here we can pass the CLSX that we have just installed, and then here go the inputs. And this allows us to really easily handle conditional class names. We can call the cn function right here. And for example, we can merge some classes that are always applied, like the text2xl. These are unconditionally applied as the first function argument, and merge this simply by passing it as a second input with the class name we have incoming as a prop into this component. Take this as an example. In the app component, the main parent component, we're passing a border 2 and a border red 500. But in the child component, we're saying border none. So this would be your classical perfect merge conflict that we can try out. And let's see what happens in the browser. Let's switch over, and we can see the computed styles right here on the right hand side, but we can see there is no border, even though all of them, the border none, border 2 and border red 500 are still applied to this H1. And that's gonna be one of the best ways, at least I personally use it in all my projects by now, to work with conditional classes. As easy as that. And as for the last setup step to make your Tailwind setup even more enjoyable, let's take a look at this example right here. This button needs a class name. We can get rid of the unused import by pressing Shift, Alt, and O. And this class name is really long as a button. Now there's a really neat trick we can do to bring some order into this very messy class name. A plugin that lets us automatically sort these class names. This plugin, let me zoom in so you can see this easier, is called npm install yarn add doesn't matter prettier plugin Tailwind CSS, and that needs to be a development dependency. We don't need it in production, just for our development styles right here. And as soon as we install this plugin, this could work out of the box according to the documentation. For me, it doesn't, so we need to take one very small extra step, and that is adding a prettier RC. And in this prettier RC, we can simply state that we want to use as the plugins, which takes an array, this plugin we have just installed right here. And as soon as we save that and format our file, you can see the styles are now automatically sorted in their correct order according to prettier, which is of course slightly opinionated in the way it orders these classes. By the way, you can't change the order. This is just a given, but I think the order is really good. So styles like the flex, for example, right, that affect the display are always put first because they're the most essential. You want to see them first when debugging style issues, and then, for example, the colors come in the middle and the conditional classes come at the very end. So this really gives you a lot of order. When formatting your files, it's a really nice add-on. It doesn't do a lot more work. You're gonna format your files anyways, and you might as well have some nice order in them. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed these 3 steps and are gonna use them in your own projects. I just think they make working with Tailwind even better than it is out of the box. That's gonna be it for me for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Have a good one and bye bye.